What's going on, everyone? My name's Henry from Ahead of the Curve. On today's show, we're going to discuss the recently released Smile 2. Let's go. People, before we get into the review, I just want to say really quickly this is now the second video since my recent rebrand. I went from being known as The Bad Habits to what you see now, Ahead of the Curve 94. Full disclosure, I made that profile when I was like 18, maybe 19 years old. I'm now 30, hence the 9-4 at the end of the name there. At this point, I felt like that no longer represented who I am, so here we are today under something fresh. And of course, we got a new set to match. Also, one of my main intentions is now to release more videos as opposed to just one per week and the occasional gaming short. It'd be nice to try to scoot in about, maybe 2 reviews a week or so. For all of you in the community who, are returning viewers, please hold me accountable. With that being said, I think we've done all the mandatory plugs and, we've done all the bullshit. Let's get into the video. Smile 2. Even though we're under a new studio and new name, as usual, we want to read the plot synopsis via Wikipedia. A sequel to Smile 2022, the film stars Naomi Scott as a pop star who begins to experience a series of increasingly disturbing events as she is about to go on tour. That plot synopsis is very vague, and I actually appreciate that. Now, since my experience with Smile 2 is very limited, I've only seen it once in theater, and I can only take so many notes, of course. It's so much easier once they release it on streaming, or if I get a physical copy somewhere. You can pause at your leisure, rewind, make sure you get all the dialogue with the captions and subtitles. I don't have that luxury in theater, so what I'm thinking is we'll keep this nice and short, and I'm not gonna reveal everything because it's still fairly new and it's a horror movie. I don't want to completely take away the surprises. So there will be spoilers, but not all of them. First things first, the star, Naomi Scott, she's amazing in this one. This whole film hinges on her performance. There's no way around that. I'm not kidding, folks. The camera is constantly right up her face. It's like someone said, hey, let's take one of the most beautiful people who's ever lived and let's shove a camera right up her snotty nose and look at her running mascara. It's great. She holds nothing back in this one. So, and if there's one thing I wanted to get across in this review is just watch it for her performance. With that being said, Kyle Goner, who, if you've seen the first Smile movie, he's all over that film. He returns for the intro of this one in a nice little twist of a way. Full spoilers ahead for Smile 1. So this entity or demon, it's a lot like the one in the movie It Follows. Now, if you haven't seen this movie, it's kind of like a demonic STD that literally follows you around. Once you catch it, you kind of really can't get rid of it. You can just sort of pass it on to the next person. It's a fucked up cycle. So basically, this creature gets its kicks off of people unaliving themselves. I'm not going to use the S word on YouTube or TikTok right now. So basically, it needs a witness, first of all, but there needs to be a victim as well. So the victim is constantly tortured for a week straight. So after a tormented week, it kills its victim in front of the witness, who now becomes the next victim, and so on and so on. So it's great for fucking movies because we can just pump out sequels. I'm thinking as a studio, of course. It's great for that. But is Smile 2 more than just, the follow up to Smile 1? Yes. I'm going to be honest with you early on in the video, folks. I think this one took everything Smile did in the first one, but it cranks it up to 11, sometimes to a fault. For example, in the theater when I was watching this, I was just kind of tired of everyone yelling all the time. It felt like I was watching the early parts of the fucking Rob Zombie Halloween movie. Goddamn screaming hillbillies in the kitchen. Yeah, it just at one point it was starting to wane on me, and that is the point of the POV of the character. So it's gonna depend on your tolerance for that. Okay, I will say. Let's get into a pro. Early on, the intro, the scene featuring Kyle Gallner. This is perhaps one of my favorite intros that I've seen in a long time for a horror movie. This one is so goddamn tense. I'm not kidding, folks. This shit had me glued. I was stuck to the screen. I couldn't move if I wanted to. There is an issue though. If you think about the logic behind how the curse is passed on to the next person, how did we get what follows afterwards? Because there's no witness and there was no unaliving. Someone got killed, but they didn't unalive themselves. So how did, if you can get past the details, which are a little fuzzy, there's a pretty decent movie that follows. So the character that Naomi Scott plays is a pop singer known as Sky Riley, and it's revealed throughout the movie that in the past she has a very public history with drugs and just being out of control. Kind of like the movie Signs, which I reviewed very recently actually. We get this flashback that's alluded to early on and then sort of just peppered throughout the film. It's not like we don't get the full thing early on. They sort of just, spoon feed us here and there when it's important to the plot. And I must say, that flashback, it's some intense shit. You're basically in the car with these two people. One's in the driver, one's in the passenger, and you're like right on the fucking gear, kind of awkwardly sitting in between them. Yeah, kind of like this. You're kind of like, yep, I'm okay. Yep. Oh, you need to switch gears. Okay. Yep. All right. Kind of like that. It really just puts you between these two incredibly high and hostile people. Right? That just bravo. This scene ends in a horrible car crash, by the way, which takes the life of her boyfriend who's driving the car. We'll get into that later, don't worry. Back to the present, with her drug history, she's not going to be prescribed anything strong enough to numb her pain, so she illegally buys Vicodins from this guy named Lewis, who is revealed to be the witness of the Kyle Gallner death from the intro. Once again, that doesn't make sense, but whatever. This is day 7 for him, and this motherfucker is, whoo, he's tweaking. I mean, damn, lay off the nose candy. Riley really gets caught up in a wrong place, wrong time situation. The rest is history, okay? We gotta have a movie.
Lewis? No, wait a minute, what? He was smiling at me.
Let's get into a plot point that I really wasn't big on in this film. So Sky Riley, the pop star, the megastar, if you will, of course she's gonna have millions of fans. And yeah, of course all of them aren't gonna be the most sane of people. What pissed me off with this film is they had this one fan who they put in the trailer, by the way. This guy with the skin condition. He's very creepy, okay? Props to this man who does his job really well. But I gotta be real with you folks. It bugs the shit out of me when we get the quote unquote ugly person who's, insanely creepy. It's just a stupid trope that we really don't need anymore. In my experience, people, some of the most beautiful people on the outside were some of the most ugliest people on the inside. We even get shades of that with, who Sky Riley was before the film began, when she was, out of control. But with all that being said, that huge con I had with the film, they quickly made up for it with the creepy ass girl with the braces and the pigtails. This girl is my MVP, okay? And she didn't even have speaking lines. Just legit creepy as all hell. I couldn't stop laughing at this. And while we're at it, another pro. Sky Riley has a best friend who I cannot remember her name, but I was calling her fake Anya Taylor-Joy in this film. She sort of just reminds me of her a little bit. This character is really fun in this one. She's a literal ride or die and always so very awkward. With everything she did, I was pretty much always cracking up. I gotta be real. The comedy in this film is very constant. It's horrible thing will happen and then someone will do or say a really funny unrelated thing. But I will say I don't know how I felt about the constant jump scares. Yes, it's a modern horror movie. We gotta have loud noises and cool sound effects with it, but I wondered as I was watching the movie, is this gonna age well? Because to be honest with you, there was quite a few and they weren't getting me. And I want to be scared by movies. It's really rare for me to get uncomfortable after watching a movie. You know, it's often shit that's realistic that really fucks me up. But when it comes to the supernatural, I'm super skeptic about it. So it's gonna take a lot to convince me. And then it got me just once, and it was really well done. I don't know if it's gonna have any longevity down the line, but hey, that's something we're gonna have to save for future viewing. So let's fast forward a little bit. Let's get into the third act. Not the climax necessarily, at least not yet. Before we get to the climax, I want to highlight what might be my favorite sequence. I was praising that intro, which yeah, it had me just enthralled. But I think my favorite sequence overall, it had to be when the backup dancers are in Sky's apartment. We get a tease of that in the trailer, and honestly, once I saw that trailer, that was the part that pulled me in the most because I was just so goddamn confused. That was worth the price of admission alone, getting to see how that played out. And people, I literally could not stop laughing my ass off. Okay, the entire time it's so creepy the way they just anticipating movement, and it's just a blast. There's simply no way around it. So yeah, but I was balling. Now, forgive me, people. I forgot to mention Sky's mom in this review. You know, she's actually a rather important character. When we're introduced to her, she sort of just comes off as a pageant parent. And if you don't know what I mean by that term, it's gonna kind of upset me to explain it because it pisses me off. To me, a pageant parent is someone who basically parasitically lives off of their kids' talent or, exploits them in some way. For example, there are a lot of kids who are models and their parents are usually just, on their phones on the sideline, just cashing checks. Usually there's someone who doesn't listen to what the kid wants. They think they know what's best, or they're just too caught up in the lifestyle. Her plot line and her performance in general is it's actually pretty layered throughout the film, and towards the end where the third act hits, that's, hey, we're spoilers here. Mom doesn't make it through the end of this movie, okay? The entity catches Sky when she's almost at her true rock bottom and very brutally has Sky kill the mom. Once that happened, I kind of just said in my head at least, like, well, Sky's life is over. I think we probably have about 15, 20 minutes left. I was right. The revelation of Sky being the murderer of her own mother, man, that was tough to get through, people. And now she has to escape from this wellness facility that she's in currently. She literally walks out in her bloody ass gown with like a hoodie over it. But somehow she makes it to the lobby, is able to trick a security guard. The guard gets close enough for Sky to disarm him. What pissed me off about this scene is, well, yeah, frankly, that happened. Like, the fuck are you doing, dude? That would have been enough to piss me off, honestly, as it is. But apparently, his gun, someone has pulled back the hammer and released the safety because Sky just pulls it out of its holster and just fuck that dude. Immediately after that small part that kind of pissed me off, there's a bunch more twists coming up, okay? If you've seen Smile 1, you might know that this entity, this demon, it kind of tends to, it gives its victim a bit of false hope. It wants you to think that you beat it, and then just at the last second it's gonna catch you off guard, and there's gonna be another twist on top of a twist. Yeah, without really getting into the finer details, I found the later twists, there's a few at the end, but I found a couple of them kind of predictable. It didn't really hurt the experience overall for me. That's why I'm giving it a mainly positive review here. But there are some issues there, okay? And the cracks are showing. Is it fun and engaging? Yes, but we know where it's going. It definitely sets up its sequel. Smile 3 looks like it's going to be fucking insane if we get a third one. I mean, maybe once it gets a home release, we'll revisit it. And hey, I haven't even reviewed the first Smile, so that might be a future video idea. Who knows? Smile 3 could be out next year. So overall, I'm going to give Smile 2 a definite recommendation. As far as a rating goes, I'm going to give it a low, add it to the collection, okay? It's not perfect. It's not my favorite horror film of the year. It's really good though. It's fun and it's gory and creepy. So if that's your thing, I know Halloween is past, at least by the time this video is uploaded. The movie will probably have been out for like 3 weeks or so by then. So either way, hope you had a great Halloween. And if you're checking out this video, check out my first video since our recent rebrand. That video, I went over all the Friday the 13th films. I'm currently editing that video right now to upload on Halloween. So yeah, it's a blast so far, and just thank you so much. I've been Henry from Ahead of the Curve, and I'm signing out, y'all. Deuces. Hey, it's me again, the guy from the thing you just watched. Or fell asleep on, and you know who you are. Either way, I just need to say thank you so much. You deserve a reward. So, here you go. And while we're here, please consider subscribing, leaving a comment, and most definitely check out another video. Perhaps this one right here, or maybe that one over there. The choice is entirely up to you. And that is the Ahead of the Curve promise.